This is the Ryder and Lisa replay.
Brought to you by Southtown Hyundai. Check out the Southtown Hyundai Advantage at southtownhyundai.ca.
It's time for Overrated, Underrated with Ryder and Lisa.
Today I'm going with something underrated, and it's being on top of your dental health. So I canceled my my teeth clean over a few weeks ago now, because I had a cut on my lip and I was like, I'm not going to the dentist to have my mouth open, to have it bust open this cut. I needed to heal. So I canceled it, but then I never rescheduled.
Yeah.
And now I'm at this point where I'm like, do I have a cavity? And now it's consuming me. The tooth kind of hurts, and I'm like, why didn't I go? Why didn't I reschedule a week later? What's wrong with me?
I pushed mine back too because I thought they were getting a little pushy. I was getting messages like, you're scheduled for an appointment on October 6th. To get out of this, you have to text and say no or out. And I was like, no. Maybe to confirm, I say yes, but you can assume I'm not coming.
What?
You can assume I'm not showing up to an appointment I never asked for.
Oh, okay. Because so they pre-schedule yours.
Yeah.
That's
Get
good.
out of here.
No, that's good.
I don't like that they expect me to show up. I want to choose to show up. Thank you very much.
I will say the dentist is the most annoying when it comes to reaching out to you, which is
privatized.
But also,
they're getting rich.
Yeah, they are, but you're not going to remember to book it. It's nice that they remind you. Whereas, like for me, my physical and stuff, they don't call me and say, hey, it's time for you to come and get checked. So I kind of respect the dentist for that, but
Listen,
you're right, kind of annoying.
If they said, hey, you should consider between these dates booking something with us, hell yeah.
Calm down.
No, I don't. I texted and said, excuse me.
Okay, well, guess what? Soon enough, you're going to need a crown on one of your teeth because you're not showing up.
I deserve a crown.
No, you don't. So yeah, right now there's a tooth in the back of my mouth that's bugging me, and I'm like, is it going to fall out? This is all my own fault.
Okay.
They've been trying to hint at me, yo, you need to come in. Your teeth suck.
I'm going with overrated today. Dressing up dogs in Halloween costumes.
It's overrated in your mind?
Yes, they hate it. They want it off. It costs $40 for what, a picture? And then you're like, oh, yeah, he's really uncomfortable. We should get that off of him.
I'm convinced that's why Chihuahuas are all miserable, because they're so small that you can get sweaters on them.
Yeah,
and
they don't want that.
They hate their lives.
They're like, why didn't you just leave me in Mexico?
Yeah, it's cold here.
Save the dogs the discomfort. Just Photoshop something on them and call it a day for Halloween.
Pretty sure Snapchat does filters on animals.
Exactly. That's all you need. Then you can be like, oh, look, my dog's a monkey. And you don't have to spend $40 for him to be anxious for the rest of the day. You're going to make him look like an idiot again.
Meanwhile, Ryder walks his dog in -40 weather without a sweater.
He's got a fur coat on all the time. Thank you for checking out the show. You said you saw a post on Facebook about something being stolen right from somebody's front yard.
It said, somebody stole one of my Buddha statues right off of my front lawn.
That is very un-Buddha-esque.
The comment section is a lot of people just saying, I'm just happy my pumpkins are still there. And the more I think about this, I'm like, wow, I have really nice pumpkins on the step, including fake ones that I bought from Home Sense that I love. Particularly this black one. And I'm surprised every day when I get home from work that it's still there.
Yeah, but would the average thief, let's just typecast them and say, teenagers, maybe hard done by people that are like, something that they could sell. Do they have any use for a pumpkin? You know what I mean? Like maybe on Halloween if you're tricking and you'll throw the pumpkin against something.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe their dog has diarrhea.
And they need to feed it, yeah.
And pumpkin's really good for diarrhea.
I would say pumpkins are fairly safe, right?
Okay. Have you ever had something decently expensive outside your house that someone stole?
I, by accident, left the garage door open one night years ago.
I've always wondered when I am walking and I see people that just have their garage door open, do they do that because they are just trusting everyone, or did they genuinely forget? Because I would start knocking on doors and say, hey, your garage is open.
Well, especially overnight, you would think. Anyway, I did leave it overnight, and the damn thieves stole my golf clubs and my snowboard. So they screwed me year long.
Oh, yeah, true. Both seasons.
They like wrecked, they wrecked my year.
All right, so we want to hear from you. What has been stolen off your property? Even if you want to confess, we won't tell the cops if you've taken something. Even if it was when you were younger and you're like, I was dumb back then.
We can mask your voice if you'd like.
Whatever. We got this text from Max saying, when I was a little brat of a kid, I once stole a pair of black Pumas from the gym. A couple weeks later, at the exact same gym, I forgot my lock and had my white Pumas and $7 stolen. Believed in karma ever since. How true is that? Jen texted in saying, when I was in my 20s, we lived downtown in a condo. Our upstairs neighbors were this miserable old couple. They were so noisy. Every evening it sounded like they were dragging all of their furniture across the floor. They had a gazillion garden gnomes on their deck. So one night we were out drinking and thought it would be brilliant to steal some gnomes. Our friend was a climber and Spider-Man'd up to the balcony. Some of the gnomes were chained down already. Anyway, we felt remorse the next morning and disposed of them on the north side somewhere.
Yeah, you should have known better.
He should have known better. But I just think it's so funny how it's like they knew. You had your gnomes chained down on a balcony. You lived in an apartment. Like, that to me is, you're prepared.
Yeah. Okay, Snake, what do you got for us?
Okay, so when I used to hang out when I was younger at my friend's place, it was a lot farther away from my house than I would like. So it was about a half-hour walk. So every other night, random summer night, I would find bicycles, and that looks kind of broken, and then I'd ride them down the hill to my house, and then leave them at my house. But then I accumulated so many bicycles that my mom started questioning me about where all these bikes came from. And I just said I borrowed them from my friends and they were coming to get them. But then no one never came to get them. So she has 13 bikes in her garage still and she doesn't know why.
14?
About that, roughly.
Well, I'm surprised she didn't start asking at like 3 bikes.
Right? But then the best part was years later, she decided that she was going to scrap them all and make one super bike for her to ride. So now she has no idea, but she rides around like a Frankenstein bike from all these stolen bikes from kids around the neighborhood.
Thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it, Snake.
Thanks, Snake.
No problem.
Did you just make a snake noise? Yeah.
I just hissed at my sign off.
107.
A man named John lost his mother, Janice. She passed away unexpectedly when he was 15 years old, and eventually his dad sold her car. It was a 1971 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme convertible.
Dang.
And it's gorgeous. It was purchased by a GM auto executive in the early 80s. Now, John never got a chance to own any of his mom's personal belongings after she passed away. So for decades, he continued to hunt down this vehicle. He found out who it was sold to after the executive sold it and kept in touch with this person, checking in every once in a while, like, please, if you're ever thinking about selling that car, please sell it to me. Eventually, this person had a change of heart and sold John his mom's vehicle.
Wow.
The best part? When he opened up the glove compartment, her sunglasses were still in there, a map that she had written on, a pair of her earrings, and some of her unused postage stamps, and a comb.
Unreal. She was ready for a road trip.
She sure was. How precious is that story?
Yeah.
Tell me something good.
Have you heard of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch before?
No.
Sounds kind of fun, or like a cool band name. It's not. It's actually a place in the Pacific Ocean where, for some reason, just with the way the tides work, the way the water works, a lot of garbage ends up there. Just a massive amount of mainly plastic trash. There's like 1.8 trillion pieces of plastic pollution in the ocean. And like I said, a large chunk goes there. So a company called GNN came up with a design for a floating device that would catch the trash without harming the fish and the whales and the sharks. And they dropped it in the water in hopes that it would work. It's nicknamed Jenny. Jenny just successfully netted 9,000 kilograms or 20,000 pounds of garbage on its first trial. So it's like an absolute success, they're saying.
And it's just grabbing garbage. It's not taking like fish or anything.
I would imagine there's probably a few sea life creatures that have been caught, but my guess is that they would more likely die from all this garbage everywhere. So getting it out there at least gives the opportunity for new life and whatnot.
For the food chain.
For them to be saying that it's a massive success tells me they're doing something right with Jenny.
Good old Jenny.
Yep.
Tell me something good.
Asking you what ridiculous thing was stolen from you or that you stole.
Karina wrote in saying, I had a roommate, I told her to move out. I came home and she took all my groceries. Literally everything except for the beans. Chick doesn't like beans.
You know what I would hope if somebody did that?
What?
That they also stole something from the fridge that I just hadn't thrown out yet that I knew was past expiry. Like, enjoy the lasagna from last Tuesday.
Bailey wrote in saying, what was stolen from me? The sunroof off of my car.
No.
I'm not joking. How does that happen? Why does that happen?
Yeah.
I'm so confused.
We got another text saying, like, the barbecue grill, just the grill part of it, though.
Well, maybe it's the same barbecue they have, and their grill was all disgusting, so.
Yeah. This text says a bicycle seat. Seriously, what is someone going to do with a bicycle seat?
Well, that's another thing is you need the perfect seat. Maybe they tested it out and they're like, oh, this is nice and squishy. It doesn't hurt my butt.
Right.
Alicia wrote, my corn broom. What an odd thing. And I'm going to admit something. I didn't know what corn broom meant.
It's just like a witch broom, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like that's what it looks like, yeah.
So obviously a witch took it. 'Tis the sizz.
Yeah, away she goes.
It's that time of year. They need a ride.
780-784-7107. That's the number you need to know for Ryder and Lisa's $20,000 Play That Tune. $4,300 coming up next. But we'll take one more call on this. This is revenge you got on somebody who was stealing things from you. Fire away.
One time I was working in a welding shop in Southside, and somebody kept stealing my lunch. I was making sandwiches, and somebody kept taking my sandwiches. So this one day, I decided to cut my toenails and put them in the sandwich.
Oh, no. Did it get stolen that day?
Sure enough, it got stolen that day. So I'm pretty sure those sandwiches are pretty crunchy for that guy.
I love it, but I'm also almost going to throw up.
After that, were your sandwiches still being stolen?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
I do not recommend this. Tinder has just launched a +1 feature. You hear about this?
No.
It's for if you're looking for a date for a special occasion. Specifically, they're kind of aiming it at weddings. If you need a +1 for a wedding, fire up Tinder and find somebody there.
It's kind of genius. Why are you against it?
Do you remember at our company Christmas party years ago where one of the hosts brought a Tinder date?
Yeah.
And she spit her drink on another host because she didn't like his attitude. She took swings at a few people. It was a real mess.
Yeah.
And you know who it looked bad on? That host for bringing a date to something as monumental as a Christmas party from Tinder. I think a wedding's even more monumental, like obviously.
Yeah, you can't risk bringing someone that ruins a bride and groom's special day.
And like I've been at weddings where there's been fights break out. Mm-hmm. One of my best friends caused one by accident at one point, and then like before we knew it, we came outside and the bride and groom were both throwing bombs. Full blown fight, blood on the wedding dress and everything. This can happen very quickly. So do not get a wedding date from Tinder.
You don't want to date anyway. Then you got to take care of them all night. You got to be like, are you having fun?
Yeah, you don't know how much they can drink.
Ugh. And also, then you're so focused on hoping that they're having a good time that you ignore your best friends. No, go alone.
Or ignore the bridesmaids who are there single.
This is what you do. You act like you're bringing a +1, and then you get 2 dinners.
Yeah. I would recommend if you're planning to use +1, the new Tinder feature, that you maybe go on like a coffee date first, or if you want to test how they're going to be at a wedding, Go to a club with them.
Go get wasted.
See how they handle themselves. See how if they can dance without shoes on, and if they're willing to make out in the coat room. You've grown an interest in a show that you haven't watched yet. You're just hearing a lot of buzz about it. It's a kid show, and you're wondering if it's weird if you get into it without a kid around.
Yeah, I just want to check it out. There's just so many amazing reviews about the show Bluey on Disney Plus. Bluey is a blue-heelered puppy, and Bluey goes on adventures with her younger sister Bingo, which always unfolds in hilarious ways. Bluey is a very over-enthusiastic and imaginative dog, and it just follows the life of them and their parents. Now, I Googled, why is Bluey so good? Because parents seem to fall in love with it. My brother-in-law loves Bluey. He was like pumped that a new season was about to air.
Yeah, we're going to talk to him in a sec here about what makes this show so endearing in his opinion.
Yeah, he watches it with my niece, who's 3 years old. And after I Googled, why is Bluey so good? This was the review. Bluey is a triumph of good-natured naturalism, a clarion understanding of what play really feels like and its importance in childhood. At the same time, every era gets children's programming that reflects that generation's ideas about parenting. Interesting.
Now, you've gotten into a few kids' TV shows that, like, my daughter's been watching.
Okay.
So a little bit, like, older, because she's 9.
Well, there is a new Barbie's Dreamhouse, and whoever writes that show is a comedian. They make Barbie and Ken so funny. Highly recommend that. I've actually, found myself like continuing to watch that even when my nieces and nephews leave.
So is it weird if Lisa was to get into Bluey? We've got her brother-in-law on the phone. What makes it so great?
I really enjoy it. I've been known to just sit there and continue watching it after Heidi's walked down the hallway to do something else entirely.
So for any parents that are listening right now, they've probably heard about this Bluey show. Why should they watch it? Like, what is so great about it in your mind as like a 30-some-year-old dad?
I don't know. On Modern Family, how Bill was always just such a good dad and almost something to be inspired to be to work towards because he's such a good guy.
Yeah.
The dad on Bluey is like that. So I find the dad on Bluey really entertaining.
And inspiring.
There's no way I could be that good of a dad.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a glowing reference. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, so it doesn't sound that weird that you would watch this, and maybe I should as well if Bluey's dad is so wonderful.
Yeah, maybe you could learn a thing or two.
Yeah.
You already are such an amazing dad, but now based off of the text line, it seems like parents are obsessed with Bluey.
Really?
Natalie says, parent here, I absolutely love it. It's so hilarious. Blair says, my coworker was literally talking about Bluey yesterday and how good it was. She got very excited telling me all about it. Tara says, it's amazing. There's secret jokes between the parents, too, that you'll understand as an adult. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay, I'm definitely giving Bluey a chance.
I have another kids show that I think you'll really enjoy.
Okay.
It's called Caillou.
No.
Play 107.
So we were talking about the dentist a little earlier today. Kind of a tricky time to go to the dentist just before Halloween. You might want to save it until after.
That's
right?
what I'm thinking. We're wasting each other's time here. Mm-hmm. Call me after the 31st.
Yeah, and they might tell you something if you go now, hey, try to avoid any really sugary stuff for the next 2 weeks, and you'll be like,
I don't think so.
So anyway, we wrote a song about it to the tune of Jeremiah's Don't Tell 'Em.
Now, quick poll in the text line after you hear it. Mm-hmm. Would you download this song?
Should we put it on Spotify? Will you stream it? Yeah. Let's go. Got back from the dentist, he and the hygienist said I had a busted tooth. Halloween's next Sunday, and I want your candy. Please don't tell them what I'm gonna do.
Don't tell him, don't tell him, don't tell him. Gonna eat a lot of chocolate. Don't tell him, don't tell him. I'm gonna eat some rockets. Don't tell him, don't tell him. Gonna have a lot of sugar. Don't tell him, don't tell him. He's a dentist.
So don't tell him.
Don't you dare tell him.
Yeah. And a lot of lottery wins lately that I've been hearing about, like in and around the area.
Yeah, I mean, in a couple minutes here, we're going to be potentially giving away $4,400 with Ryder and Lisa's $20,000 Play That Tune. So be prepared to hear that clip. Don't call yet. We have the phone lines blocked, but we will get to that once you hear the clip. But yeah, a lot of people, especially around us, here at work even, there was a ticket here in Edmonton that was won on Calgary Trail, just down the street from us, $7 million.
On a scratch ticket. It was one of the Set for Lifes, and she took the $7 million instead.
That could have been yours. You always buy those from the exact same gas station.
I'm so rattled because I don't buy those all the time, but like probably one a month.
Well, and the odds of somebody winning again from that location, pretty slim. So what's the deal? What do you do now? You just wait it out for a bit, or?
And then, that person had radio ties, and then we heard of a radio student who's won $2 million.
I know. When's our turn?
Like, what? And then we just heard yesterday a $55 million prize was won in Saskatoon, which isn't real close, but it's nice to see the big prizes coming to Western Canada because it feels like it's Ontario and Quebec.
What are you going to do with $55 million?
Well, you said you'd send money to your friends?
I think so. I think my core group of girlfriends, I'd be like, here's $1 million.
What about your like friends that are really close to the core? Like you're just your secondary friends? Like they just missed the group chat.
Yeah, I'd make sure whenever we like go out, I pay for their bill.
No, that's a huge drop off from $1 million.
That's not.
Lunch?
Yeah.
No, here's what you do. I've got it figured out.
Okay.
You send out, you don't tell anybody you've won yet because they give you a couple weeks or whatever it is. I think even longer than that before you have to like claim the money. I would send out texts to almost everyone I know and say, hey, I'm in a really rough patch right now. Can I borrow $1,000? I promise I'll pay you back in like a week.
So you mess with them.
Well, and depending on their response, if they're like, listen, I would love to, but
can't.
That's understandable.
Yes.
Then you get 10 grand when I cash my money. If they're like, you know what, I really need that money back in 2 weeks because times are tough, but yeah, I can spa you. Boom, that's when you give them $1 million.
This is Ryder's own version of Squid Game.
Yeah, no questions asked. You get yourself $1 million. You say no, don't come knocking to me when I cash my $55 million, Brenda.
You have a friend named Brenda?
No, I don't know why I went with Brenda.
Now it's time for something that you'll probably forget. It's things Lisa found on the internet.
There were 63 penguins found dead in South Africa on Boulders Beach near Cape Town. And when they were discovered, researchers found they all had stingers in their eyes. They had been stung around the eyes in their flippers, the areas that aren't protected by feathers. And a veterinarian returned to the scene to investigate and found the culprits, honeybees. A honeybee attack.
No.
They're calling it a freak accident. 63 penguins are dead.
I think I know what happened here.
What?
James Bond villain sent his bees out to get the guy in the tuxedo, and they thought all the other ones were like decoys, and they just went after the penguins.
Okay.
Doesn't it look like they're wearing tuxedos?
That's funny.
Yeah.
The classic Fisher-Price toy, the rotary phone, is getting a modern upgrade. Yeah, the toy company is launching a version of its chatter telephone capable of taking real calls. It's available for pre-order at bestbuy.com while supplies last for $60. This is not a hashtag ad, by the way. This is about 6 times more than the original toy, which normally sells for about $10.
At least on the toy phone, I had an excuse for no one calling me.
That's true.
Hey? You'd be like, oh, it's a toy.
Well, and now there's no excuses as to why you're not calling your grandma.
Also that.
And the third story I found online that's interesting is this. In an effort to get more young people to pray for world peace, the Vatican has launched a $110 wearable digital rosary. It's called the Click to Pray e-rosary. It also has an app that comes with it.
I wonder if there's like in-game purchases of like absolving your sins and stuff. That would be cool. Like
Yeah.
for an extra $4.99, you're good to go.
I wonder if people can hack into your account and like see the sins. They can hear your little
yeah.
voice notes or
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
click to pray e-rosary. Okay. Imagine meeting someone and you're like, oh, I have an Apple Watch too. What's yours? And you're like, actually, this is just my device that I use to pray after nights out like this.
Yeah, I don't really understand the whole e-praying thing. Like, when you're praying for someone, isn't it all just done in your mind or out of your mouth? Are you typing that? You're sending that? Who's getting that?
God.
Good point. On one of those toy phones that he's got.
No, God has an Apple Watch. He's like, oh, I have to pay $110 now for this e-rosary? You're all robbing me.
God. So, with a new mayor, we started discussing that if we were ever mayor, we'd probably demand some changes when we got in. And that's not really how it works with council all having equal votes as the mayor.
No.
But let's just pretend it does. So, let's pretend you're mayor. What are you changing in the first week when you get into power?
It's a great question. Hit us up with your answer, 780-784-7107. First order of business for me. Every place that you go in the morning to get your coffee has a coffee-only line. So if you're somebody that gets a breakfast sandwich as well, sorry, you're in the other line. You can wait longer.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that, especially like the places that have already the two lanes. Make one of them the speed lane.
It's just for black coffee.
Oh,
just
now
a little
it's
bit
just
of cream.
Now it's just black
The
coffee.
easy ones, not the big fancy drinks that take forever, extra hot, extra whip.
Okay.
It takes too long.
All right.
So you get your own lane. That's the first order of business for me.
Come up with 3 for me here, and then I'll do 3 and people can vote.
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay.
I've been thinking about this for quite some time. McDavid gets to decide anything he wants. He's up there with me.
You just want to be close.
Yeah, we're going to walk his dog collectively
Okay.
as powerhouses.
And then make decisions while you're on your walk.
And McDavid's dog is allowed to jump up on you.
Okay.
You can't get mad. Everybody gets a silver ball from the Talus art piece on White Mud. That whole piece of art is worth $6 million, so we get to all split the money.
So we'd sell it and split the money and
Yes.
everybody gets a piece?
Or I'd move it somewhere where we could see it better. I want to take in our art. I think art is fantastic, but I can never see it because I'm driving so fast on the White Mud.
Okay.
Can't see it. Let's move it. Let's lift it. Let's put it higher up.
So that's Lisa's her first 3 orders of business as the new mayor of Edmonton.
4-day work weeks.
No, hold on.
What?
You can't just keep going. We're going to have a vote against one another. We're going to see who people would rather see in power here. I guess we're going with 4 things. My first would be I demand that you get ranch or blue cheese even on wing night without having to pay extra.
Okay, but we all know that blue cheese is just rotting, right?
It's delicious,
People
though.
pretend it's good. It's not.
Next up, instead of photo radar being given to speeders who are only going like 11 kilometers over the speed limit, which is pretty safe if you ask me, I would be giving them to noise violators. So anybody whose car thwaps too hard or diesel truck is a little too aggressive. So that's what the photo radars would be used for.
What if
annoying loudness?
What if you got everyone to have this special button in their car for if someone cuts you off, you hit the button and cops are there immediately and they'll give that person a ticket?
Or if they don't wave back.
Oh, if they don't wave.
When you let them in, yeah. And then finally, this one I think is really going to bring it home. If I was your mayor, this would be one of my first orders of business, is I would capitalize the word Edmonton.
It is capitalized.
No, like all of it. So that anybody, when they're referring to us, they'd have to call it Edmonton. And like in the list of cities, anytime you'd see it, it would just be capitalized. And people would be like, why is that place capitalized? That's so hardcore. Easy to do.
No, it's a bit of a stretch. I think it would also cost a lot of money to get a new sign.
You're talking about redistributing the Telus balls.
Yeah,
Like
that's
money's no
that
thing?
money is already here.
Edmonton.
Okay, who would you rather vote for?
Who would you rather see as the mayor of Edmonton?
Ryder and Lisa.
Brought to you by Southtown Hyundai.
Play 107.